Hello and welcome to our podcast. My name is Brandon. I'm sitting here with a good friend of mine, Terry Rogers. Terry, how you doing?
I'm fantastic. Thanks for having me.
Man, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to have you. Looking forward to seeing what we get into here. So a chilly morning out there. How was the commute?
A little brisk, a little slippery.
Yeah.
Kids are on a 2-hour delay.
Are they really?
Oh,
Bellbrook schools?
Everybody's sleeping in.
Oh, man. Well, that means even more.
Remember those days?
I do. I do. Had one yesterday. Slept in. It was beautiful.
I need to do that once in a while.
Yeah, I would recommend it.
Take the foot off the gas and just relax.
Yeah, it kept me up later than I wanted to stay up last night, but yeah, it did feel good.
Yeah.
It did feel good.
There you go.
Big message I've heard in my solitude time lately is relax, slow down.
I know. That's tough for all of us.
Yeah.
We live in a tightly wired world,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. So relax, slow down. A friend of mine told me to ruthlessly eliminate hurry. Ruthlessly. When I think ruthlessly, I think like to the death. I would, ruthlessly protect my family. I will ruthlessly, ruthlessly eliminate hurry. That kind of spoke to me. So
I like that.
I guess that doesn't mean to sleep in all the time, but it does mean to kind of, don't worry about how fast I have to get, somewhere, or the car that was going like 2 miles an hour in front of me this morning.
I've recently heard stand tall, be a presence in your space, and I think if you do that, you kind of just slow down a little bit, and it helps you just go, to that tune.
So often we need to go. I can feel myself when I get in, when I allow anxiety to start to take over. I can feel almost the instant where I lose control of my breath. Right now, almost lost control. Finish the exhale. The exhale is more important than even necessarily my next word. The breathing concept, the whole concept of breathing, the breath of life that was breathed into us, and how breathing can just simply align you spiritually in a moment that may seem hectic otherwise.
It's good. It's good for the mind. It's good. Just we forget to breathe.
Yeah.
Like we take a little breath and we're like, oh, that's good. Like fill your lungs and just let it set for a minute. And you 99 times out of 100, you're going to be more relaxed if you do that.
So this has had a positive impact on you, I take it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as a business owner, you're wound pretty tight, and you gotta find a way just to take that deep breath and relax and know that God's walking there next to you and you're good. Like you don't have to worry about a lot of stuff. Just have faith and dive in head first.
Wow, profound wisdom.
Breathing is huge, and even if you're just trying to fall asleep at night, just take a little deeper breath, and you'd be surprised how fastly you can just relax and fall asleep and let your mind just kind of shut down, I guess.
It's funny you say that. There'll be some evenings where I lay down to go to sleep, and the chaos of the day is looming large in my mind, and there's times where I can't really shut it off mentally, and the next thing I know, my breath has kind of put me into the trance, that little trance in between like consciousness and sleep. And I realize, like, man, my breathing, I feel my chest compressions. My breathing just took me to sleep. Put me to sleep.
Yeah, you get that little twitch in your foot or whatever it is.
I can tell there's some sort of mindful approach, breathing techniques that helps you get in that headspace. And Terry, if we're being honest, like, it sounds so easy, the two of us sitting here talking about it, but the truth is it's not necessarily easy to practice these techniques, to find time.
I think, again, going back to what I've chosen for a career and what that entails, like you got to be on it, right? You got to be. I'm not going to wake up in a day and go, oh, geez, I'm going to lay on the couch all day. I am relaxed, but I'm going to get a lot done, right? But But I think on the other side of that, what I was trying to say to you was just, you know what, it happens when it happens. Like, stuff happens, you know, and you can't be so wound up. We can't be a good, I think it was my ninth grade English teacher said, "Don't be a slave to the clock." Right? Like,
Wow.
and that, and, you know, those, you know, I mean, I don't know how much we took away from high school. But those little things, like, you know, I remember this guy, Mr. Newman, he was like, "Don't be a slave to the clock," you know, and I always just took that, like, yeah, you know what, what's 10:01 versus 10 o'clock, or what's, you know, what is 5 minutes? Now, don't be disrespectful to people, and be respectful of other people's time, of course, right? But at the end of the day, it's just a unit of measurement, and if you can just take a deep breath and go, it doesn't matter, Brandon, if it's 10:05 or it's 10 o'clock, like, we'll still get accomplished what we want to get accomplished. Let's not stress ourselves out over that, right? There's already
Right.
so many influences out there, outside influences that can bring us down to our knees. Like, you know, it takes everything you got just for the normal human being just to get through the day, right?
Yep. Yeah. For a large part of my life, I was taught to be a slave to the clock. That was a lesson. It wasn't introduced with that title, but it was a military mindset of be early. If you know if you're on time, you're late. If you're early, you're on time. Concept. As I get more involved with spiritual community, I recognize the importance of acceptance.
Yeah.
Accepting that it snowed last night and that my commute is going to be trickier this morning than normal. Accepting that this car is going unbelievably slow in front of me, in front of Centerville High School.
Very cautious. They were cautious.
Very, very cautious.
Yeah.
Accepting the fact that the person who just cashed me out, you know, made a mistake and treated me like I made the mistake, and accepting that while still being gracious or grateful is an enormous challenge, right? Because I wish I knew the answer because of. I don't know if I know why. It's so difficult to accept life on life's terms, but I think that that's kind of what you're hinting at, is if the more I can just accept life on life's terms, not just from a clock's perspective, which is a big piece of it.
Sure.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
10:01, that's something that drives a lot of people crazy.
Yeah.
When you're late. You know,
Yeah, absolutely.
People drives. You're in the business world.
I was early
You
today,
know.
by the way.
Yeah. I was late.
For the record, I was early. And I am the on time to 5 minutes late guy, which they call Terry time. So, yeah, that I don't like when I'm that, but I think it's a product of just being a busy person. I can get one more little thing done. And as you go through life, you get a little bit older, you're like, oh, maybe I don't necessarily need to get that done right this second. You know, it can wait till later.
That's the lesson in this for me that I needed to hear, because I'm still very much that way. I can wake up early in plenty of time to be there.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, of course I got to make my bed, and I don't have to do that.
Discipline, I like that.
Most days, but it's not just to make the bed piece. It's obviously the personal hygiene is necessary, but then when I'm really ready to walk out the door, maybe I can just answer an email. Maybe I can do that one more thing that you just spoke about.
Yeah.
And so that's more of my issue than pressing snooze until the last minute, which I've done, but more of my issue is I'll get up and want to do one more thing.
Yeah.
And you're right. As I get older, I notice, okay, what I have to eliminate, as opposed to when I was younger and I felt like I had a lot more invincibility.
Yeah.
that I looked at where I could add. Now I look, what I can take away to make the time I spend with the people that I love and the people in my community more, the better.
Yeah.
Right.
I think you can. I think as human beings, we all can find ways to clutter our life up, make it really messy, and think that we have to do all this stuff in life. I got to do all this stuff, right? And one, I think that's a product of just the material world we live in, right? Like if I can get, if I can close one more deal, I could, buy a bigger house, or I could have this, or you're in fact just collecting stuff, which probably just adds stress to your life, right? I'm sure it's proven. And I think that if you're either driven to hit the snooze button 5 times in the morning, or someone like me, I don't even set an alarm clock. I just get up. Like, I think you're wasting time just laying there doing nothing, right? Like that's my philosophy. And whether it's I can get a few work items done or whatever. But again, going back to that, you don't have to do it all in one day. Again, there's just there's 2 different people in the world. There's some that are like, oh, I'll put that off until tomorrow. Their wife gives them a honey-do list or whatever. I'm like, I don't want to see that list ever. Like, I just want it to be done.
I like that.
Right? Like, but I think that's just in life. That's just how. I wouldn't say it's bad, good or bad. I'm sure there's pros and cons to both sides, right? Again, going back to the thing, sometimes I just need to sit down on the couch and relax, like enjoy the moment and reflect on life and have that time within faith, and that goes a long ways. I've gotten a lot better in the last few years.
Such a big deal, huge in my life too. Even if I can only take a few minutes and redirect my mind from the chaos of the world. I do this devotional that reminds me of how fragmented my emotions become just dealing with the world, and how difficult that is to deal with. So at the end of each day, if I haven't paused and spent a little time in solitude for a couple times throughout that day, then I can really feel it. I could sit and talk about with other spiritual people about it and compare and contrast all day, but the bottom line is I feel it. And you can never really explain that piece to somebody.
Yeah.
How much you feel it. As somebody who is sitting here, I can observe you. I can see your calm demeanor, right? The same's true if we're high strung. We can visually see these things, and in most cases, oftentimes we can feel them when it's happening to us. If I feel a little nervous, if I feel a little anxiety, if I feel complete peace and tranquility, I can certainly feel these things. But the type of peace that taking a time out and spending a moment in faith, as you called it, what that does to me in the way that I feel is exponential. You can't really quantify it. I wouldn't know how to quantify it. I wouldn't know even if you gave me a computer and PowerPoint software, I couldn't find anything to put into a slide to quantify what it does for me.
So you believe in the things you can't see.
Yeah, absolutely. Where were you born, Terry?
I was born in Lapeer, Michigan. It's a small town, east, about 50 miles east of Flint, Michigan. So, small, out in the middle of nowhere.
So when you're from Michigan, like being from Ohio, or Northern Ohio, Southern Ohio, kind of from Eastern Ohio over towards Pennsylvania, Southern Ohio, kind of down Hocking Hills, or Southern Ohio, kind of over by Ohio University. What was the name of your hometown again? That was Lapeer.
Lapeer, yeah. Yeah,
Spell that.
Lapeer.
That's two. It's two.
One word.
One word.
Yeah. So in Michigan, we're unique individuals because we can use our hands to make the shape of the state, right? So I was here, I lived here. You know, you can't see that, but it's
Do that again, if you don't mind.
it was in my thumb area.
So
Yeah, you got
you're over here.
but you got the Upper Peninsula upside down. You
Okay.
got to turn it around.
My
There you
bad.
go.
My bad.
You're-
Yeah. So you're over, like, kind of north of Detroit.
About an hour north of Detroit is where I grew up. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Who were your parents?
Parents first and foremost, good people. My mother is 17 years older than I am, and my father's 19 years older than I am. So, tough decisions to make as what I would consider kids, right? Good decisions. I'm happy that they made the decisions they made, but I always joke around, went to high school twice, right? So went with my mom when I was 1 and 2, again when I was a teenager. They lived a hard life. They worked hard and they're successful. But I think those values that you learn as someone who's grown up, that necessarily probably doesn't have a lot, probably had more than most, but a lot less. Like, you know what I mean? Again, the material things, right? Like we didn't have things, and didn't have a TV until I was 10 years old. So, what do? Today the world would end, right? I went outside and played. Like, we enjoyed life, and you learn a lot of things about yourself. Maybe not, you didn't see it at the time, right? But you learn a lot about yourself, and I think a lot of those good work ethic characteristics and things that have led me to just value relationships more were instilled then, because again, you weren't swayed by, you couldn't just plop in front of a TV. You had to go find something to do,
Right.
which as a kid can be challenging sometimes. You get bored real quick.
Right.
What are we gonna do? I don't know. Let's go ride our bikes around the block 3 times. It's only 10 miles.
Around the block or 3
Yeah.
times?
Yeah, both around the block 3 times. Let's go.
That's
Right?
So there's a lot to unpack there. So you say you went to high school twice.
Yeah. So
What exactly do you mean?
So my mother, when she had me, was a junior. Beginning of her junior year of high school. My dad was a senior, and so they made a tough decision, right? Not to get in all the political stuff, but they made a life choice decision, and I respect them for that. That's obviously I wouldn't be here if they didn't, but just the sacrifices they gave up, being kids basically, right? I mean, those were some pretty good years for me. I don't know about you, but
Absolutely.
they gave that up to basically raise me and support our family, and they worked a lot of hard jobs. I remember my mother was always joke around. She was younger. She worked at a pizza place, and I was like, oh, gee, she'd come home. I'd be like, you smell like pizza. You smell like pizza, Mom. And then she got a job at a pickle plant. I'm like, she came home, I'm like, oh, you smell like pickles every day, right? Like, and she got like a big girl job at a bank, and she was a teller at a bank, and she came home, I'm like, you smell like money,
Yeah.
like just like we have this, we chat about this, once in a while, and just, I think that there at the time, when I was younger, it was tough, and my parents' marriage ended up failing, and it didn't work. I mean, they were young, right? There's a lot they were learning, but today the benefits are that they're only a few years older than I am. So, a few, like 17, 19,
Yeah,
right? Like,
yeah.
so our relationships are closer, and it's just it just makes it better today.
That's beautiful to know that the relationships are still intact.
Yeah.
And
They're challenging like everything else, right? I mean,
Yeah.
all relationships are challenging. And families can be tough sometimes.
I've recently had a conversation where the hard truth and almost a sad fact is the people that hurt us the most and the people that we hurt the most are the people we love the most.
The closest ones to you.
And once you hear that, you almost want to unhear it.
Mm-hmm.
I know I did the first time. I
Yeah.
should speak for myself. First time I heard that, I didn't want to believe it. I didn't want it to be as true as it really truly is. And most of the time it's with good intention. But yeah, I think that's a common theme.
Well, I think as you find yourself, or you're more vulnerable to people, right? People use, if you really want to enjoy life, like, you're gonna have to be vulnerable at some point. You can't put up this iron curtain or the facade that you can't be touched. Like, if you really want to have a good heart, you have to be vulnerable. And I think the more you're vulnerable, the more likely it is you're probably going to get hurt at some point. And that's okay. You got to learn from it, right? That's what makes you a stronger person. And you can, again, I go back to the faith thing because I put a lot of weight in that. And if I'm vulnerable with someone and they hurt me, that it is what it is. It's on them as just as much as it's on me, right? But I think it drives you in a direction. You said earlier that it's some people you're around, you can just sense that they're relaxed and they genuinely care about you, right? Like, I think that's another thing that we as humans do is we try and collect, how many Facebook friends can I have? Can I have 4,000 friends on social media? Well, how many really good true friends do you have, like, in quote unquote real life, right? Because that's just an electronic device. Like, put that down. How many friends do you have? I can call you a friend, Brandon. You're a good friend of mine. Like, we can hang out and have a great conversation. But I think beginning back to being vulnerable, right, is sets you up to open your heart up for hurt, but it opens it up for happiness and joy. And it just, again, to something I've worked really hard on the last 5-6 years is being a better version of myself. How can I be Terry 4.0 instead of 3.1, right? Like, can I be what's the next version? What's the next version of me? Can I better that version?
Wow.
We can have another segment. We'll dive into that.
Yeah, that was. I don't know if you could have said that any better. What you just gave us was just fantastic. And so, I want to say to you, I certainly am grateful to be your friend, and I certainly consider you the same. And I certainly appreciate you, being here and supporting this and opening up and being vulnerable.
Yeah.
Which is the reason why this is so rich, I believe. And what do you attribute your ability to be vulnerable to, or who?
Wow. I think that's, just walking through life next to Jesus, having that faith, and I don't know. I don't know.
In your relationship with Jill, do you guys have quality conversations about vulnerability?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, it's we try. We read some scripture in the morning together. I think is huge for us. Obviously, we go to church and we try and participate in our church as much as we can. Whether that's just being there for people or going there for yourself, right? I don't know. I don't know where that comes from. I just
You have a very benevolent heart. You've given to me a lot, so I can say that right? I'm authorized to be able to say that and give it the credibility that it deserves. Because I've been the beneficiary of many household goods, expensive household goods in many cases during my move, courtesy of you and your family, you and Jill and your family. And I'm so very grateful for that. But I would assume, I don't like to assume most times, but I would assume that you're just benevolent by nature. That seems that's pretty instilled in your DNA, that it kind of has roots deep into your past. Or was there some selfishness at some point?
I'm sure all of us have selfishness, right? We're all selfish at some point in our lives, and more so than other times. And it's all, that's certainly something I've worked on. It's a family history, right? Like that's part of our DNA and who we are. I think, we like to think about what's in it for me, and I've always been, recent past, 10, 15, 20 years, I'd rather give. It just makes you feel better, right? Like I'm always embarrassed when people, have a surprise party for me, or I get gifts or whatever. Like I appreciate it, of course, but I'd rather give. Like I'd rather share. Again, I go back to my childhood. I didn't have a lot. Like we ate government subsidized food, and life was hard. You show up to school and you don't have on the cool jeans or the shoes that are wore out, and it just makes you when you get those things, when you have the ability to get those things, it really makes you respect them, and you put value on that stuff. Yeah, you want to take care of it, right? Life lesson when I was a kid, in Michigan you can collect beer and soda cans, and they all have a 10% deposit on them, right? So my buddies and I, we'd go around that block I was telling you about earlier, and Saturday mornings, Sunday mornings, we'd collect up garbage bags full of beer cans, and we'd take them back to the local grocery store and get our 10 cents per can. Sometimes we had a couple hundred cans, which was pretty cool, right? And I remember I'd saved up enough money to buy a bike. I was like, get a new bike. Never had a new bike. Always had like the hand-me-down or the bike from my buddy that their dad fixed up, their old bike, right? So I had saved up enough, and I got a brand new bike, and went to my friend's house and laid it down the driveway. We're playing, and my buddy's dad comes in the backyard and said, "I ran your bike over." Oh, crushed. But the takeaway was be more responsible. Like I laid my bike behind his car. Of course he ran it over, right? Like
right.
Where do you put your, just taking care of things in life. I think you appreciate things more, right? I appreciate, so many people in my life, from employees to, family members or therapists that, have helped me get over hurdles. And, it's better to give.
There's a feeling. It's the type of feeling that you get when you give.
Mm-hmm.
I think that feeling is even more enhanced when you give and it's really appreciated. Right? I think that's enhances that feeling that you get from giving. I think that's I just had this conversation the other day, but that's one of the most pure feelings, good feelings that life can provide.
Yeah.
In life is giving.
Yeah.
Being able to provide, to give, and so yeah, that's pretty awesome. But it does pose the question to really how finicky life is, because we talk about the possessions and the material things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And,
sure.
And how much we get caught up in, for lack of a better phrase, the rat race of collecting.
Yeah.
collecting
It's
things.
exhausting.
And, but yet we do appreciate and value these things. I do storage treasures, and I was at a storage unit that a friend of mine had won in an auction. We ended up cleaning out 3 storage lockers that in that couple of days at that storage unit. And the question came to my mind, these people are paying $100 a unit to store things that they don't even use.
They're extra stuff.
They're extra stuff.
Think about that.
So I value this stuff so much. It's worth an extra $100 a month.
$1,200 a year.
I'm willing to take that. I needed that in my budget to help with my peace of mind of groceries and bills and other things. But those things, that it really hit me like, wow, we Americans value our things.
We're so inefficient. Life. We are inefficient in life and things, and just overlooking like putting the value where it should be, right? Like, I've always told myself, Jill, had conversations like, I just want to better my generation. Like, I want to give them something to show them to be good people and have the ability to help other people, right? Because at some point in my life, somebody helped my family. They helped us get by, food, hot water, whatever it is, right? Like clothing items. I remember bags of clothes showing up at my house. Like, where did this stuff come from? Like, just extra stuff from other people. The bike, right? Like my bikes. I got a bike, right? I got a bike when I was 8 years old. It's a little beat up, a little rusty, but man, the thing worked good. It helped me collect cans.
Right.
To get
Right. And everybody loves a good bike ride, especially a kid. As a boy. I grew up on a street, Robindale, Waynesville, Ohio, and we had 7, I think, boys that lived within 2 years apart, within 2 years of each other, grade wise, and Murray Davidson, Kyle Bors, me, Tyler Lamb, R.J. Woolham, Ricky Short, Jason Beam, Lance Corwin. I mean, we had Chris Plummer only lived another block away, and we made for some great backyard football, some great tag, some good fist fights, but we always rode bikes. We would always be riding bikes, man. It was
get out.
Yeah, we would hit the little dirt trails and make ramps and bike riding as a boy. And I'm with you. I can't imagine a childhood without stuff like that.
It's your first form of freedom, right? Like you could get out, you get away. I can get away from the house. Go.
Yeah.
I can go miles.
Miles.
Go miles away from the house.
So tell me about your career. Really, what got you started in it?
Oh, wow. At a young age, I just knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur.
Collecting cans.
Collecting cans. That's where it started. That's really where it started.
For real.
And that evolved into selling. I remember I sold bubble gum out of my locker in 7th grade. Like, that was a deal. Like,
Entrepreneurial.
people just
Very entrepreneurial.
you buy 10 packs of Big Red gum with 5 sticks each, and for $1.09, sell them for $0.25 a piece. Man, that's some good markup.
Yeah, you're understanding
Supply
profit,
and
demand,
Everybody,
profit margins.
all 7th graders have bad breath. They wanted to have good breath, so I sold some Big Red out of my locker. But I just always.
Big Red's the best Wrigley's brand, I think.
It's the best. Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Little cinnamon, little minty.
Yeah,
it's good stuff.
Shout out to Big Red.
Yeah, they'll be a sponsor next.
Yep.
Next year. So I think just kind of always wanted to do something like that, and I went to a couple colleges, I've got some credit hours that never amounted to anything but a lot of street knowledge. Worked at a tool and die shop. I worked at McDonald's and Taco Bell and Subway, and
This is college.
this is
college.
yeah,
These are the
this
college years.
These are the years. Yeah, I love it.
This is street knowledge in
Street-
Taco Bell.
Yeah. Oh, Taco Bell career lasted about 5 hours. That was a good one.
A 5-hour career at Taco Bell.
Yeah. Yeah. McDonald's was a little longer. That was fun. Subway was a little longer. Yeah. But
It's tough to part ways with the company after 5 hours.
yeah, I just had a lot invested there. But there was a party that night, and I had to get to it.
I understood.
You know,
I
so
heard that.
had to cut that career a little short.
Yeah.
But no, just I think just the want to be able to. There's a lot to be said if you can pay your own paycheck. A lot of anxiety there. A lot of nights laying on the floor, looking at the ceiling, crying, going, "Man, what are you doing? Like, why are you doing this? Right? You get a job anywhere, right?" But I think there's a lot of satisfaction in, again, just working with good people and, being a respected business owner who puts their best foot forward, right? Like I always tell prospective clients, I'm like, I'm not here to sell you a bunch of stuff. I'm here to find a solution for you. And, in life, everything is about relationships, right? So I'd rather build a relationship and, have you trust me that I'm not going to take advantage of, a situation, try and sell you a bunch of stuff you don't need or whatever. I think that's, just being, being in business for 28 years. That's a lot, especially for someone who started at 21, 22 years old, like just having the ability to say, yeah, I'm still in business. And, we, got a lot of amazing people that work with us, and, I don't know where that drive comes from, but it's just, I think it's just the need to have that fulfilling part or something in your life that gives you the ability to not have to set an alarm clock in the morning, just hop out of bed and go, let's go.
Right.
What's the adventure what adventure are we gonna have today? What challenges there that we can try and tackle and how can we be better as a company? How can we be how can we make the lives of the people that work for the company better, right?
Right.
How can we be efficient?
Right.
That's all. Those are always questions I ask myself. But that entrepreneurial spirit, I was born young. It was
Right.
instilled in me young. Just like maybe it was because I didn't have anything. Maybe it was survival of the fittest. Like how can I buy that bike? How can I have nice clothes to wear to school or whatever it is, right?
28 years, you say?
Yeah, 96, 2004, yeah.
All doing the same thing?
No. So I worked when I failed out of college for probably the third time or fourth, whatever it was, I don't know. I went and I took a job at a tool and die shop and worked for my cousin. And we made, we did metal stamping, so we made automotive parts, like seat belt housings and pans that go in your steering wheel for airbags and things like that. Safety restraint parts. And I kind of worked my way up and got to the point where I was designing the tools to make these parts. So,
what, on a software or?
yeah,
Okay.
AutoCAD. So
Okay.
we use a computerized, design system. So
That software is typically associated with. I've heard of AutoCAD before.
Autodesk,
Yeah.
they're one of the bigger software packages, but
So you just got interested. You were interested in your job.
I've always tinkered with stuff. Like when I was young, TV didn't work, so I took the thing apart. My dad wasn't happy about that. And I don't know that it ever worked again, but yeah, it was it was
This is the start of an explorative mind.
you got to take things apart as a kid. Like take it apart,
Yeah,
put
the
it back
TV.
together. Yeah,
How does this
TV.
work?
Oh man, I'm telling you what.
Where are these people coming from?
Kind of cool. It's kind of cool to see the inside of those
Big,
things.
the old fashioned, like the first generation
yeah.
TVs,
Yeah.
wide and
Big tubes and
Yeah.
all kinds of stuff, right? So I had a passion for taking things apart and putting them back together. But anyways, I worked at this tool and die shop, and I met a guy who wanted me to design this stuff on the side. So actually, the company started as I was a fixture designer, which is boring work, terrible, awful work in my opinion. I'd rather go back to McDonald's. So the company started that. We were doing everything. I mean, I was doing medical transcriptions, like anything to make a doll, right? And I went, and one day I was just talking to my pastor after church, and he wanted to meet. I remember we met at McDonald's. We had a coffee, and I was like, I'm doing this stuff, and he's like, hey, you're kind of just doing whatever to make a paycheck. And I'm like, yeah. He's like, well, what do you love to do? And I'm like, I really love computers. I'm like, so I like to take them apart and mess with them, whatever. He's like, well, do that. Like, do it. Like, go, whatever. So I went to...
it sounds like a pretty pivotal moment.
Yeah, pivotal moment in life. So I went to my cousin who owned this place, and I was like, hey, you know what? I'm going to work part-time. I got some stuff going on. I really want to just see where it goes, And I started to build computers out of my garage. And somehow I got this order for like 750 computers. Like, what?
Praise God, right?
Well, maybe.
Well, maybe.
So
Business is booming.
if you ever had a semi-truck pull up to your house with, 25 pallets full of stuff and go, what did you do?
25 pallets worth of computer hardware,
Yeah, parts.
not intact.
No, all parts.
25 pallets.
25 pallets of stuff on my driveway, and I had to, then I'm just like, how can I put this in the garage? Like, so anyways,
How did you? What did you do?
I busted them all down, put it in the garage. I got one day, right? Got it all.
One day you broke down 25 pounds worth of computer hardware.
Yeah, and just put them. I had some buddies that lived with me, and we, they helped me out, of course, but
Jeez.
I've fulfilled the order, and that was where my love of running my business really blossomed.
That sounds pivotal too.
Yeah, it was cool. It was fun. Like when you accomplish something like that, and you go, oh wow, I can actually make a living doing this, and it wasn't just this dream of, oh hey, I'm gonna, nothing against most businesses, but they start by somebody planting seed money, right? Like, oh, here, Brandon, here's $250,000 to go start a company. I had a credit card with $750 credit on it. Like, that was it.
Yeah.
That was it. It was me. Like, and I had, a couple guys that helped me out, and we got all those computers built and closed the deal and got paid. I was like, wow, got paid to do this.
Yeah.
So it started with this pastor that said, hey, go do what you love. Like, find something in life you love. And honestly, like, I could, if you said, hey, your company's going to be, making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, like, all right, that's fine. Let's be great at it though, right? How can I do this and do it right? Because it's not so much the product or what you're doing, it's making it happen, which is the hardest. I have a business partner, and we joke about this, like, how can I pave this road flat? Because there's so many highs and so many lows, and you can't get too excited on the highs, and you really got to pull yourself out of the gutter on the lows. How can I pave this road flat? Because, if you get a paycheck from someone, you probably don't see that back end. Like, there's a lot of stress there. There's a lot that happens in the back end of that, and but there's also a lot of satisfaction when you can pay paychecks. You're particularly your own paycheck. It's pretty huge.
Yeah, that's what I was going to get at. A minute ago you said you pay yourself, which I don't think a lot of people who might have entrepreneurial spirits understand that you have to develop a business model that is where you as the owner have to pay yourself, and then you as the owner have to pay the company, right?
It's got to be sustainable, right? Yeah.
Right. So get a little bit into that in case like the listeners might be interested in that aspect of starting your own business.
Well, you got to be willing to. You got to be willing to dive into the pool head first, even if there's 6 inches of water, right? There was a time 15 years ago. I remember I woke up. It was January 1st, New Year, and I looked at my business account. It had like $1.87 in it. Mind you, I employ about 20 people at the time, thinking, what? Like, the AR's outrageous and the accounts payable is outrageous. Like, this is just money. Like, you're getting money on one, it's out the back on the other. Like, it's just thing. And I remember thinking, man, why am I doing this? What, like, this is, you're chasing someone to get money to just push it out and thinking, I can't fail these people. And I remember having to transfer money from my personal account back to the business. Got to make it work. And from that point forward, I looked at the business differently from how's it going to be sustainable? How's it going to be self-sufficient, right? I didn't want to be in that position where I had to fund a business. Again, I didn't have seed money, or I didn't have, investors or anything like that. So everything that I learned at this point was just on my own. Self-taught, yeah. I had a couple of good mentors. I had a few friends that were in business or managed businesses and really gave me some good tips and pointers. But, you've employed 20 people when you wake up on January 1st and you have $1.87 in your account. You're like, wow, this will take you
scary, anxious,
take you down a couple of notches, right? Like, but those are the things that, like everything in life, that you learn from. Don't put your bike behind your friend's dad's truck. Like, it's gonna get destroyed, right? Don't be so. I guess just know where you're at. Have a pulse on it, right?
So you eventually transferred money from your personal account.
Yeah, we made it work.
To bail, but you say, no, I got to have sustainability. And it sounds like you did something at that point. What did you maybe pay yourself less at that point? I don't know. The decision obviously seems to me was made at that point. If I need sustainability, boom, I have to either take this away or incorporate this. What was the takeaway or the incorporation?
Just we got more efficient as a business, right? So that was a learning moment. Okay, how do we?
You maybe have to drive that, but maybe manage a little harder for efficiency.
Again, you have a
business strategy.
Your pulse is going to have to be on it, right? You gotta know where things are at and
where you're losing money.
Yeah,
where you can tighten up.
Yeah, where can you make money, right?
Where can you make money?
Yeah, so, just those are game-changing, life-changing instances that happen, and you have to, just take that deep breath. Maybe that's where I learned to start breathing better.
Way to bring that full circle. Yeah. How long was it between that conversation with the pastor and the $750 computer order?
It was about 1.5 years. I started building computers for friends and family, and just really I was doing it as a hobby. And then, I remember when we first started, I would make these little flyers and it'd have little chads at the bottom, and you put them up to the supermarket, call for computer repair or whatever. And I started to get some clients out of that. And, that's, again, you just got to work hard. I remember I calculated at one point, I'm making like $3 an hour or something, like why am I doing this? But your drive to make it work or be successful, it's got to be there. Like you can't, you can't think, oh geez, I'm going to go sit by the pool and,
Money's going to appear.
money's gonna appear. Yeah, you're gonna start a business. You're probably gonna work,
Yeah.
60, 70 hours a week until you get to the point where, some weeks you still work that, but finding that good balance between family time and work time it's tough when you first start out. It can be challenging.
So, in what year did you start Midwest Security Services?
We started that company in 2008, incorporated in 2012. So we're about 16 years old.
What, 2012?
2008.
2008
started.
So
Yeah, we started.
12 plus 4,
So
16.
sold an IT company, reinvested in a security company, and
Is there a lot of similarities with IT and security?
yeah, you're moving zeros and ones around, right? I mean, how can I get this data from here to here? Is really what it's all about.
So that when you say that's what it's all about, if moving zeros and ones around had a job title, what would that job title be?
Technology.
If you need somebody to move those zeros and ones around, I know it's a figure of speech, but
Right.
what would you say that job title would be? Systems analyst,
computer.
coder,
Yeah, really, we're moving data, right? So
data.
let's say you have a business and you have 5 locations. Like, how can I control all those locations from one area, right? So you're gonna probably put in some, switch equipment, and you're gonna have some data cables, and you're gonna send it through a fiber line to a central location, and to be able to control that. So how do you move that data, zeros and ones, from one side of the country to the other side of the country?
Zeros and ones. That puts it into perspective.
Yeah.
Data could be, well, in the security world,
Yeah.
it's got to be zeros and ones.
Everything's
Brandon.
Yeah. That's computer code. There you go.
Well, I'm guessing that you in computer code in your line of work, there's probably a lot of security.
Yeah, a lot of programming, and
So,
also a lot of physical. There's a physical side to it, right? You gotta run wires through buildings and mount cameras and cut door strikes in. There's all kinds of stuff that it's way above my pay grade. I don't do most of that stuff. I don't know how to do most of that stuff.
But you have a trusted team.
Yeah, I got a lot of great people. Hire great people and get the hell out of their way. That's what I always say.
That's good. That's real good. It's real good. So what would you say is your best career accomplishment as far as career wise? I've been working on being humble, having humility. I'm certainly, and I'm speaking to you. You certainly aren't enamored with accomplishments, and you're not. You don't sell yourself on accolades, and I got a lot of respect for that. I got a lot of respect for a lot of the characteristics you possess. But how do you? First of all, what is a big career accomplishment? I know that you're humble, but if you would,
I think just staying in business. Most businesses fail after 5 years. I think staying in business for 28 years, you have to, one, you're going to work hard, but two, it's the people that you surround yourself with, the people you hire, are really what make that happen. At this point, I'm giving advice and direction, but it's the people that you work with that really help you accomplish that. So it's not so much what I've accomplished, but I think it's what you can accomplish as a group or a unit. That you're in the military. Like, what can you accomplish? With a team of people, good people, right? People want to take credit and this and that, but at the end of the day, most successful people had an armies of people that worked so hard to get them to where they are. And the minute you lose focus of that, you know, I don't know, you become a narcissist, or you become, you know, you just not a good person, right? Like,
Yeah, I know I've always excelled. That's why I've always loved sports, because it's always been an opportunity to work together with others to accomplish something. And that was always, sports was always an arena where, you know, almost everybody was bought in on accomplishing that same goal.
yeah.
And that is fun. When I don't care what the dynamic is. I don't care if it is business. I don't care if it's creativity. You know, I don't care what type. If it's athletics. When people gather around and pursue the same goal, eliminate ego, pursue the goal as passionate as the person to their right or their left. Everybody's all in on the same goal. Those team concept type of environments are the type of environments, statistically it's proven, psychologically it's proven, those are the type of environments that people excel in. Mm-hmm. And that's tough. Although that is the dynamic that works the most, it seems like in most cases, that's the dynamic in the business world that you see the least. And it's obviously difficult with the realization of the mundane life